All right, we're here with Mohawk Matt. Hey, thanks for pulling up, man.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's a pleasure.
How was the drive over here?
I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand it.
Is that bad?
It's a little different view than what I'm used to on the LA freeways. Yeah.
What's the longest drive you've ever taken?
Probably the back and forth to Oceanside and back for work was pretty rough.
Okay.
Yeah.
We the 101?
101, mostly 5.
The 5.
Five going to Oceanside and back to 5 freeway, yeah.
The traffic jam, man.
Yeah, once you get past the military bases, it's like cluster.
Yeah, parking lot.
Parking lot, yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So where are you originally from?
San Fernando Valley, born and raised.
How long have you lived out there, man?
My whole life.
Whole life?
Whole life, yeah.
Where about?
From Sun Valley to Mission Hills. Moved into the San Fernando Valley's backyard, Santa Clarita, after I paroled from prison.
And what was your upbringing like growing up there?
I would say like lower to middle class. Nice, good family. Good family.
Good family?
Yeah.
What was the relationship with your parents like?
Well, I'm adopted, so my relationship with my parents was really good. My mom is my best friend. I love her. She's always supported me no matter what. It was pretty good. Despite the adoption, it was pretty good. Yeah.
So you were adopted. So at what age did they?
Infant, like right out of the vagina, right into my mom's hands.
Oh, really?
They had it set up, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you don't know your biological parents?
I have the paperwork, so I know my genealogical, my history of my heritage. I know what I am. I know that my mother was, I believe, 13 or 14, extremely young. There was like one option who the father was, but she still wasn't sure. So she chose adoption.
Wow.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself as a teenager?
I was one of those kids that just wanted to do whatever I wanted. You know, like I had a decent family, middle class, both parents, hardworking, father, ex-military, Vietnam vet, mom, hardworking. My mom was a phone operator for Pacific Bell when we used to have real people we would speak to on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, retired with full benefits and pension from there to be a therapist. And I had good parents. I just chose to do some knucklehead stuff on my own. Yeah. Yeah.
So what kind of things were you into when you were growing up?
Well, I tell people this a lot. I'm one of those kids that watch New Jack City. If you're from the 80s like I am, New Jack City and Boys in the Hood too many times, being from the Valley, I assumed I could get involved in all types of stuff. And I got it. My first vice was while playing sports, I got involved in graffiti. Graffiti was, man, I close my eyes and I can still smell spray paint in the 90s. Graffiti is one of the things that I love. I still love. I'm kind of a little bit actively involved still. And it's amazing and it makes me feel free.
Graffiti was huge back in the 90s.
Huge. If you know the history from the 90s, when the graffiti turned into the gangs, that's what I went through. And it was a huge, huge thing. Yeah.
So you grew up around that era then?
I grew up in that area, right in the middle of that.
Man.
While that transpired, yeah.
So what's your nationality?
My heritage is Scottish, Celtic Welsh, a little bit Irish, and a lot of French. So I got a lot of Viking heritage, and so I guess you just say white.
Okay.
Yeah.
You grew up with a lot of Hispanics, though?
Probably one of 4 white boys with hundreds of Mexicans.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that growing up?
It was great. I mean, in the 90s, growing up in the late 80s and the 90s in the Valley, the LA scene, it was like we didn't know any different. If you picture like the Suicidal Tendencies look, the white boys, I was all confused with listening to gothic punk rock music while wearing my Pendleton, like 3 buttons and a hat flipped up, doing graffiti, trying to skateboard, while being meticulously around a gang at the same time that I'm yet to get involved in. It was just I don't know, I loved it.
What was your attraction to the graffiti?
Something about writing, and there's the whole thing about like just using the cans and being able to pull it back and forth. It was like hypnotizing, I guess you would say. And learning different alphabets and ways to write your name. I can't really necessarily draw pictures, and I'm not into the graffiti where they do the big piecing and the artworks. I'm not into that. I was what you call a street bomber. I attacked RTD buses, the LA bus systems, and I attacked freeways, and I attacked billboards a lot. And if you were in the LA graffiti scene in the 90s, in the valleys especially, you probably would have known who I am.
It's crazy because when I was younger, I grew up in Boyle Heights. We used to eat outside at certain places.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, man, a bus would pull up, and you see a couple guys get up on the bus, just hit it up real quick before it takes off.
I was one of those. I was a bus killer. When it was RTD before it switched over to the MTA line, I mean, I would go what we call grilling. I would get on the back of the bus grill, wait till it took off, and graffiti with spray paint until it hit the next stop, and then jump off.
Crazy.
Yeah.
They were doing extreme stuff back in the day, huh?
Yeah, we were. Yeah. I mean, I've fallen off a billboard, once or twice, I think. 100 feet drop to an air conditioning vent.
Freeway bombing and stuff?
Freeways I loved, because you have an entire expanse of freeway to hit. We're talking sometimes a 2 square mile area, and we were smart enough to have bolt cutters to open up those access hatches on the side. So if highway patrol or someone pulls up, it's funny, but to pause, I tell people this a lot. The graffiti scene back then is not like it is today.
Right.
Today, these guys have access to pre-made supplies that are made for graffiti artists. We had to make our own. We were lucky to have Krylon or Rust-Oleum. They have tips and everything pre-made for them.
Oh, wow.
We had to make our own. We had to worry about business owners and people in homes shooting us. We had to worry about the cops attacking us and arresting us, and we had to worry about gang members shooting at us. Today, I feel like they're just doing artwork in controlled environments. So it's easy to practice your trade. With us, it was on the drop, on the dime. We had to be quick. We had to be fast. We had to get our name up and move, because at any time we're getting shot at or chased by cops and or gang members. So it's a little different today. Kids have it lucky today.
Oh, I would say so.
Yeah.
How easy was it to get up to those billboards, man?
Believe it or not, when I was young, it's funny because I tried this not too long ago, and I actually fell off a freeway at my age now of 45, to where revolve back to 17. Everything's easy. I can climb, I can jump. I don't care about bushes, the dirt. Now I'm worried about my shoes getting dirty, my pants getting stuck. And I tried to climb over this freeway in San Fernando, and I almost fell off. And when you look down at the age of 45, compared to when you look down over a freeway at the age of 17, the fear level is completely flipped on you. You're just, oh shit, I got stuck for like 20 minutes having a reverse climb off this freeway.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, it's simple. You're limber. You're like those guys in those Brazilian videos, just climbing and jumping over walls. I'm just up, I'm down, I'm up. It was easy. You know?
It's not easy anymore, right?
No sir, no way.
So how long did you do the tagging thing?
Well, I mean, like I said, I never left it. I still stay in touch with it. I kind of gotten in touch with a lot more of it lately and kind of revisited that. But it slowly, in like about 94, evolved into gangs. 93, 94, turned into our whole tagging crew having to join an active gang.
I was going to say that. Did you ever get into the tag banging scene?
We went from graffiti to the tag bagging, and then as soon as a couple of my friends made a bad choice and they killed someone on accident, we were forced to join a gang.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did you take that?
I did it. I tell this story at the expense of people not liking what I'm going to say, but it's my truth, and I don't mean any disrespect, but I didn't want to. I like graffiti. I did it because I felt a sense of I have to fit in. Got to join the homies. Got to follow the homies. I don't want to be a bitch. I got to do it. And like I said, I grew up with Mexicans, but gang culture is extremely different than graffiti culture. There's a whole lot of sets of rules and dynamics, and the gang I joined at that moment, at that particular time, already was in trouble with a green light. So we're joining a whole new world of circumstances and change that you need to be prepared for. And I wasn't. I was just some young white kid from the valley. Growing up with Mexicans is different than actually joining an active, full-out gang.
So you just were thrown to the wolves, just like that.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, you learn real quick. You learn. It's exhausting, but you learn and you pick up things really quick, and you learn to shut your mouth and just go forward. You know?
How did that affect you at that point when you get into the gang scene? From tagging to the gang scene is completely different. It is.
It's different. I tried to stay in the graffiti side of the gang lifestyle first, but then your homies are getting tired of you just tagging. Come on, it's time to put in work. You're jumped in. You got to. I had to earn my stripes like everybody else, and I feel like I did. If you knew any, my homeboys will vouch for that on my aspect of it. But with gang comes like a whole new set of culture awareness. Growing up with Mexicans is, like I say, different than being from a gang that's on the fringe of that lifestyle. My gang at that moment, we weren't technically that political and affiliated. We were already in some trouble for doing some things, and it's a culture. It's a big, not a culture shock. It's a system shock. It's a system shock to you because you're doing a lot of new different things that I'm not used to doing, and then especially as the jail starts to roll in, drug use starts to roll in, things start changing. Bad.
What was that experience like for the first time in prison?
Well, I went to juvenile hall a lot as a kid for graffiti and shoplifting and stuff like that. Juvenile hall is fun. You fight. You see an enemy. You fight on sight. When you hit the county jail, it's a little different. I'll never forget. I was only asked one question when I went to county jail. What race are you? And real quick, I'm white. Well, all right. Well, your journey begins at that moment. At that moment, that's where your journey goes. You go left, you go right. And I went right. I went where I was supposed to go. I feel like I made the right decision for who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much time did you do?
I did 19 years, spread over 3 different terms.
Wow.
Yeah.
19 years is a long time.
Never with more than like a 90-day to 6-month jump in between. Longest term, I think, was like 13 years. Second was 3 years and 8 months. And the other one was like 2 years and a couple months. So.
What'd you get busted for?
The last one was the worst. It was 2 counts of criminal threats, felony vandalism, kidnapping, home invasion. Mind you, as I fought this case throughout trial, everything was dropped, and they ran with the full term on the 2 counts of criminal threats and felony vandalism. I fought it, almost 2 years in the county jail. Now, if you've been in the county jail, 2 years in the county jail seems like 10 years. You die a little bit each day in that damn county. It is horrible. The conditions, the people you're around, the violence, and I want to say it again, the violence that happens in the county jail is something for the record books.
What kind of message would you give to somebody who's on that path?
I know the one thing I always go back to is I wish I would have had the balls, and I say this really seriously, the balls to tell my homeboys, you know what? Nah, I'm not getting jumped in. I love my homeboys, don't get me wrong. I made some bonds and some connections with some grown men from my hood, from prison, from county jail, from the U.S. military. I've made some connections with men that you cannot get anywhere else. I'm talking lifelong friendships with men. Some men that are never coming home still, I still talk to, and some men that are on the streets that we've been to war together. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. But at the same time, if I could go back, I would have had the balls to say, you know what, I'm just a tagger. I probably shouldn't make this choice. And I know that can get me in some trouble, but it's my truth. And I firmly believe that. If a kid had a choice, stick to the lesser of the two evils.
You mentioned military.
Yeah.
You served time?
I did.
And what
U.S. Navy.
U.S. Navy?
Yeah, I was a fireman on the SS Constellation, decommissioned.
Oh, man. When did you join the Navy?
95, 94. I did it. I don't talk much about it because I feel bad. I wasn't like one of those guys that enlisted to go fight in Iraq. I joined to get out of some trouble. And the Navy was one of the few branches that would accept you with a felony and ship you out and not ask too many questions.
All right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I was deployed in Africa. I came back. I got a medical honorable. I suffer from migraine headaches, and that's just one of the disqualifications. But I got a full pension out of it and a veteran status.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Looking at you, you look like you would be a Navy SEAL or something.
I wish honestly, I had that option on my paperwork, but when you read and break down what the BUDS training does, my hat is off to all those men because that is some serious training, psychological and physical with those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there are days where they don't let you sleep for 4 days straight. I think they actually drown you to where you die and they revive you, so you understand what the passage to death could be like. It's a real thing. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Intense.
It takes a certain kind of individual.
And now they've opened it up to where all the branches can join the Navy SEALs now.
Wow.
All branches, yep.
I heard somewhere where you suffer from PTSD.
Yeah, I have a lot of PTSD.
And what do you think that's from?
Honestly, probably from drug use and prison. There's some stuff, you see when you're in prison. I wasn't in a lot of the happy, nice places. I was in a level 4 my whole time, and there was a lot of stuff you see that I can't unsee. That's pretty crazy. This is why I have the policy. Unlike some, I respect what they do. I don't like to talk much about what goes on in prison because I just feel that it needs to stay there, and there's a lot of stuff I saw there. There's a lot of my drug use that I can't get what I've done to my parents, to other people when I was getting high. I can't get those thoughts out of my head.
What kind of drugs were you using?
Everything from ecstasy, coke, meth, heroin. I ended up, when I quit finally and got sober, it was meth and heroin.
What was your drug of preference?
I would say meth. I used the heroin to combat the meth so I could finally calm down and get some rest.
That's crazy.
And it's funny, but I say this a lot, but I was doing heroin before the fentanyl. I'm very grateful to God that I didn't have to go through this fentanyl problem that's happening today. My heroin was straight heroin, and I was able to kick the heroin easier than the meth. Meth was the biggest monster I've ever faced in my life. I'll fight 6 Crips on a level 4 prison yard before I ever have to fight meth again.
Wow.
I won't do it. It's horrible. Yeah.
The fentanyl crisis that's going on today is just unbelievable.
And kids are lining up to do it. I just don't understand what the kick is. Thank God I've never tried it, so I don't understand it. And I just have nothing but prayers for the people dealing with it.
I mean, it's so potent that you can touch it.
You can touch it. They've had EMTs go to save someone, get it on their fingers, and they're in the hospital. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
these
insane.
kids are running to it like it's the new thing to do.
Yeah, it's bad.
They're mixing it with candies now. Skittles.
It's on everything. Well, when I tested positive, when I finally got sober, my drug test at the facility came back with fentanyl in it. And now, mind you, I didn't know I was doing it. They're mixing it in. They're cutting all the drugs today with it. Ecstasy, everything. It's all cut with it, which is dangerous. It makes me wonder who's doing this. Because I don't see drug dealers doing it if you're losing customers. Drug dealers want to keep customers.
You're right.
They rely on you coming back.
Absolutely.
So it makes me question what's behind us that's actually doing that.
Depopulation, maybe?
Bro, population control.
Not going to get too much into that.
But think about it at home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Serious.
Do your research.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember when the crack epidemic hit hard, man,
Lord,
back in the late 80s, early 90s.
I was one of them.
Man.
That was my first drug ever tried.
Crack?
I went from growing up having scholarships to play pro baseball, playing soccer, graffiti. I was a little messed up kid. Graffiti, soccer, baseball, gothic punk rocker, almost gang member, and the first drug I ever tried, my homeboy Chubbs convinced me in Arleta to try crack on a pipe. I'm talking 1980s, Brillo, glass pipe. Mind you, I've never smoked a joint. I've never drank a beer, never touched a cigarette. First thing I tried was a big old piece of crack. Just like I'm talking just like you would picture in the 80s. Instantly, my life was ruined.
What was that blast like? First blast like?
Bro, it's religious.
Wow.
It's a serious experience to work for. About a year and a half of my life, I chased it. I traded everything I owned for it. I had my mom pick me up barefoot on Sepulveda and Nordhoff in Columbus Street's neighborhood. Barefoot. And I mind you, I've peed in my pants. I had my mom pick me up and I made my mom drive me to go get more crack before I would let her take me home. I've peed in my pants. I have no shoes on. I'm filthy dirty. That's how bad my addiction took me. That's where it took me. And people need to understand that's how bad these things are.
Is it true what they say? You always trying to chase that first high?
With crack cocaine, you will always chase that first high and you will never, ever, ever, ever get it.
Damn. That's crazy.
You'll spend years of your life trying to get that 1 30-second moment back and it's not coming.
How long did it take for you to break that?
About a year and a half, 2 years. I made the unfortunate choice of switching. To get off of crack, it was so hard that I tried injecting crystal meth. Back when crystal meth was real crystal meth. Real speed, not this weird stuff that causes schizophrenia today. I got on crystal meth to get off of it with a needle, and that's a whole nother journey. Took me down a whole nother rabbit hole. But at least I could say I was able to have some sort of enjoyment for a few years before it went bad. And it went bad. Always does.
And leaving crystal meth, what you get into after that?
Heroin, a little bit. I had to combat. Well, I kind of combined them a little bit towards the end of my journey because I would get so psychotic and in these psychosis on meth, thinking things were happening that weren't happening, that I had to have the heroin to come down with. Yeah.
What's the longest stretch that you did staying up?
A couple weeks.
Damn.
Yeah.
No sleep?
No sleep. I mean, maybe your 10 or 12 cat nap here and there, power nap. That's about it. I think sometimes I would fall asleep not knowing I did and just chart awake. You know.
What kind of things were you your visuals at that? You know,
your vision's blurred at that point. Like you're seeing shadows. You're believing some of these thoughts that are in your head. I thought people were coming after me, and the paranoia on meth when you've been up that long is different than the paranoia on cocaine. Cocaine paranoia is I'm scared of you in my own shadow. Meth paranoia, I'm loading a bow and arrow. I got a double barrel shotgun loaded. I'm ready for you. It's a little different psychologically dangerous on that level of paranoia with that drug.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't Sepulveda crazy out there? Still
is. I was just my homeboy that works at my shop, Droopy from SoCal Tattoos. His neighborhood where he grew up is right there. We went down there. It's like the 90s. It's a war zone still.
Man.
Yeah.
All those RVs are still parked there and everything?
I don't think there's that many RVs on Sepulveda. There's a lot of them up on Rinaldi now.
Oh, Rinaldi.
That's a whole culture that's popping up too. Yeah, the RVs.
Man.
Yeah.
What's going on with all that? I mean,
they're on Parthenia. Now that you're saying it, they're on Parthenia right there where it turns. Parthenia and Sepulveda, they're all right there. Yep. I don't know. It's bad. There's just drugs going on in them.
Just drugs, huh?
And the cops, it's weird. The cops ain't touching them.
Not anymore, like before.
Yeah, they're not doing nothing. Yep.
Just letting them.
Yeah.
Is there a solution for that, Matt? I mean, you think that we can find a solution for that?
I touched on this before with the homeless subject. It becomes dangerous because you have a lot of people that are pro helping the homeless. I say this as easy as I can. There's a difference. Society, as people who work and pay taxes, watch what your money gets put into, because we need to worry in the difference of homelessness and open drug addiction. Right now we are being plagued with an open drug addiction on the streets. These tents, these RVs, these are not just people randomly urban camping. Notice they're all painted, they're all run down, they're all destroyed, they're all trash around them. These are drug addicts, these are tweakers. This is how you live when you're doing methamphetamine and fentanyl and heroin and cocaine. We're witnessing drug addiction being okay on the streets. Whereas when I grew up in our generation, if I was a drug addict, you have to hide that shit. The homies in the hood can't find out that I'm slamming speed, or if you're slamming or heroin, you need to hide that. You'll be in trouble. Let alone, God forbid, you're doing it on a corner where women and children are walking. I get checked for that. Nowadays, as a society, we've come to a place where we are okay with it and we're giving them stuff. Stop giving people stuff like that. Stop helping them. Stop giving them stuff. They need to stop doing drugs on the streets. And I'm a recovering addict, but I'm not for that at all. Because when they build, on our tax dollars, they're building these clean stations for them. They're just destroying them. Number two, they're building homeless shelters that they refuse to go into. Because when you go to a homeless shelter, you have a curfew, you have a chore you have to do, you have a drug test. If you're homeless, you would willingly go into a place where, God forbid, you have to sweep and be home by 9, sign me up. But drug addicts don't want to be told what to do.
No, because they want to use drugs.
Yes, it's drug addiction, it's not homeless. So we need to be careful in who we help and what we do with this. But it doesn't seem like there's a solution. People keep helping them. Cops don't arrest them. I don't know what to do.
It's becoming an epidemic.
It is, and it's scary for our children growing up. Because I grew up in LA. I was telling her, I want to take the kids to go walk and show them downtown. You can't show them downtown anymore. It's not physically safe for them, nor let alone the filth and the disease and the dirt that comes with these people. It's scary. You know, the valley too is the same way where I grew up. It's scary. The freeways are lined with them.
Wow. Unsanitary, man.
Unsanitary.
I remember when you're able to walk down the streets with your kids, walk to the park or whatever, get an ice cream. You can't even do that anymore.
Nowadays, we have to walk in the street to get around them. Why should I have to walk in the street?
Right.
Why are they not removing these people from blocking our public walkways? In tents filled with illegal items, probably. I tell this a lot when I talk about this. In my day, in the 90s, I remember specifically getting arrested for a nickel of marijuana. Felony. I remember, second of all, embarrassing my father because I got pulled over by the cops with my father with a piece of crack the size of my thumbnail. That's a felony. Embarrassing my father, but still getting arrested for a felony in my father's Chevy Blazer, going to jail, county jail for 6 months on that. Nowadays, they catch them with bags of meth, bags of syringes, heroin, guns, and they just leave them in the tent. So it's a scary time for kids alone because kids are seeing this everywhere.
How was that support system with your parents when they knew that you were going through this?
Oh, my dad was over it. I had so many physical altercations that I can never tell my dad I'm sorry enough for. My mom supported. My mom was, I don't want to say an enabling, but she was more of the policy, like just stay home and do it up in the room. Destroy my house. Don't destroy your neighbor's house. Don't destroy the streets. I destroyed my mom's $1 million home in the process. I destroyed a $1 million home that she moved into in Santa Clarita, doing meth, thinking I'm advancing and hooking up the house at 3 a.m. Right. If you can picture a tweaker at 3 a.m. wearing boxers, a pair of boots, a tool belt, a bandana on my head, at 3 a.m. I got a bandsaw going. My neighbors are all calling, complaining. I'm trying to upgrade my mom's house. In the process, I'm actually tearing down the house because I'm tweaking. My mom was just, they were at their wits' end.
Wow.
But they still stuck by me, and today it's better.
What's your relationship with them now?
With my mom, it's great. It's great. But with my dad, it's going to take a long time to fix. There was a night, I tell this because I need to remind myself all the time. There was a night where I was on meth, on psychosis. I assumed my dad was having sex with a girlfriend of mine that wasn't even in the same state. And I rushed my own dad. I got in a physical fight with my dad. Like I apologize to him all the time. And these are just the things that we go through on and off drugs. And you know what I mean? I make amends constantly. And if anybody's ever gone through it, they'll probably understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's something I just work hard every day to make sure that they can't forget it, but we work towards the next step.
Addiction is a big problem.
Huge.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, huge.
And people that are going through addiction, there's help out there.
There's a lot of help. I mean, you reach out to me on Instagram and I can get you in a facility within 40 minutes.
Right.
I have connections. Before I worked with Sullen, I worked at Tarzana Treatment Center, Castle Recovery, Radiance Recovery. I have connections through all these facilities in the Valley. So the help is there if you want it. But what I tell people is you can't do it for the kids. You can't do it to get the girlfriend back. You have to reach a place that you are broken. Until you're broken and you're just destroyed, you will never be able to stop. My hat is off to you if you can do it for the kids. My girlfriend did it for kids. She shut down and did it. Most people can't. 9 in 10 can't. I had to be disgusted, destroyed at a place of complete destruction in my mom's house when I asked for help. I was ready.
Rock bottom.
Rock bottom for me was me praying for 2 weeks to God and Odin. I believe in both. I believe in Jesus and I also believe in my heritage. I was praying to both of these people, please take this from me for 2 solid weeks as I'm doing shot after shot in this room. And I remember the last day, I love saying this, the last day I did 17 injections of meth and heroin, and they weren't working. They were not working. I'm just sitting there pulling a needle out, my neck, my arm, everywhere, holes, dripping blood everywhere, 17 needle marks all over me. My penis, I put dope in my penis, in the vein of my penis. What dumbass does that? But it wasn't working. And I'm sitting there frustrated and I put the needle down and I'm like, oh my God, I've been praying for this. I've been asking God for this. I've been telling God, man, take this from me. And he did it, and I wasn't smart enough to catch it. And when I finally realized it, I opened my door and I said, Mom, get me the fuck out of here. I'm ready. I'm fucking ready. I'm over this shit. And ever since that day, May 18th, 2018, I've been good. And she showed up with a bag of stolen clothing.
Oh,
that's how my journey with Sullen started, yeah. Man. She shows up with a bag of Sullen clothing and she says, can you do this till next Friday? I'll bring you food and a TV. Sit in your room and detox. So for a week, every Friday for 9 solid months, my mom brought me Sullen clothing. Everything from hoodies to socks to hats to t-shirts to pants to whatever, posters, lanyards, beanies. And at 9 months, she gave me my last bag, and I'll never forget her saying, you did 9 months, now bring me 12 months on your own. And I did.
So you quit cold turkey?
I don't know if it was cold turkey, but my prayers were being answered. I don't really necessarily agree with the people that go to I agree with detox, I agree with rehab. But today's day and age, we're focusing more on the pharmaceutical companies that give you medications to get off this. But what they're not telling you is to get off this next one, you have to, it's a process. The methadone, the Suboxone, that's a new dependency you're getting hooked on. These people who have been sober off heroin, but they're on methadone or Suboxone for a year, you're still not sober. That's an opiate. You need to get off of that. Your sober journey begins when you're off of all of this. Those might help you get off of the big one, but then you need to get off of that one. So I didn't want to get stuck on something. I just cold turkeyed it. Diarrhea, vomit, shower, cold sweats, hunger, sleep for like a week, and it worked.
Damn. Pookie from New Jack City.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Man, that's a good reference.
That's what comes to mind.
In the room, just tough it out. Someone on the door. My mom was outside my door. My dad, I have to say, he showed up and he stood out there. He wouldn't let me leave. He took my car keys, and it worked. You want to go get dope? My dad said, you're fucking walking. And at my parents' house, the walk to the first intersection is about a good 4 miles. So, yeah.
Wow.
I did it.
You know, it's funny because a lot of people, they blame the upbringing, my background.
Yeah.
You know, my parents. I'm Hispanic, or I'm black, or I'm a minority.
Yeah.
This is why I'm in the position that I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, that's not necessarily true.
I don't think so either. No.
But you had a great upbringing.
I had a decent. I went to Catholic elementary school. I went to St. Ferdinand's in San Fernando. I was an altar boy. I received my first communion up to a confirmation.
Right.
So no, it's not your upbringing. It's a choice we make. I chose to try crack with my friend Chubbs that night. I chose it. I chose to accept the piece of crack in the pipe and try it. I didn't have to. I hadn't tried marijuana. I hadn't tried beer or a cigarette. One night I fell into peer pressure, which is peer pressure is real. I fell into it with the homies all, come on, homie, come on, try it, homie, come on. You know how that is. Come on. All right, fine, give it to me. Damn. Boom. Bad choice. Just like jumping into a gang.
Yeah.
Love my homeboys. Bad choice. These are choices that we make. At the end of the day, peer pressure is real, but we also make a choice.
It's not the product of your environment. It's your choice you make.
Yeah, because I've also seen dudes come from the PJs and Watts and make it. I've also seen dudes come from projects in the Aliso Village in East LA, make it. It's a choice we make. It's a choice you make. Peer pressure might have a little bit to do with it, but we all have a choice.
How long you been sober?
Coming up on 5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has that changed your life now?
Well, you wouldn't be talking to me if I wasn't sober. People want to deal with me. I'm able to be a better person. I help so many people. My Instagram alone, I don't have the ability to go to many meetings. I try to go to them like once a month or once every other week. Me and my girlfriend go, but like I use social media to network more than probably anybody knows. I sponsor guys in New England, Great Britain. I have guys contacting me from these podcasts. You'll be surprised probably what I'll get back from this. I'm still helping some guys that followed me on another one. I talk to a lot of people and I stay connected and I do what I can to help. Even if it's a late night phone call and my girlfriend's upset and where I'm talking on the phone in bed, I'm still helping people, you know?
When they get in contact with you, what do these people ask you?
Well, a lot of them are like, wow, I saw your story, bro. I never thought somebody else was like this. I had a guy in Great Britain about a month ago tell me I've been smoking crack in my dad's spare bedroom and he knows I'm doing it, and I was able to relate what it was like when I was on crack, stealing from my mom, stealing from my dad, and he was like blown away, like, wow, you're all the way over there in California, you do the same things. I said, bro, we're all the same. You know, we're all the same. I don't care if you're in Russia or if you're in California. If you're an addict, we have the same behaviors. Yep.
Wow. So when did you get introduced to selling clothing? I mean, did they reach out to you, or how did that go about, man?
Well, it started with, like I said, my mom. I've always liked their clothes. Couldn't really, but I wasn't sober enough to where I could really enjoy them. I bumped into Jeremy at the, what was the Muse Inc. show? Travis Barker's, or not Travis Barker, but the Music, Limp Bizkit was playing. And I had got the logo on me because I was liking all the clothing, and I walked up to their booth. I introduced myself to Jeremy, and he came out and took a picture of me and posted the picture of my first Sullen badge the next day on the story. And then I made friends with another guy who actually worked for them randomly on Instagram. Me and this guy named Vince became friends. And then Vince started bringing me around, got me my first photo shoot, and me and Jeremy have been like best friends ever since. The owner, the Uncle Jeremy's one of the best dudes you'll ever meet. Yeah.
So what do you do for Sullen?
Social media managing. I run one of the main pages, Sullen Family, by myself. I help out Uncle Jeremy with his half the week. I do recruiting. I do ordering. I do modeling, orchestrating events. I do the tattoo conventions for them. I do a little bit of everything.
How big are these events?
They're big. The tattoo conventions are big. I'm flown out for the weekend, sometimes with her or without her, and it's a big event. Lots of money is made. We're taking photos, people walking up from all over, all walks of life, taking pictures with us like we're celebrities, and it's a really cool thing, you know? And I'm exposed to some of the best tattoo artists around the world. Yeah. I've got guys that I'm fortunate to be friends with now that are like, I have a list of people that are tattooing me for free sometimes, pieces like this big from world famous artists that don't even do nothing less than a full back piece. And they're willing, hey Mohawk, let me get a little quarter on you. Yeah, hell yeah.
Who are some of these artists?
Ralph Nonweiler, Joey Mullins, George Lang, Felipe Morales, El Franco, Carlos Macias at Cryptic. The list goes on. I could name 100 of them. There's just so many. JP from Black Sheep. What's the other one we just did? Eternal Tattoo, Matt Ryan. Dude, there's so many big artists that are like, I have a network now that I'm waiting. And I get to share all this with my girlfriend too.
That's dope.
SoCal Tattoos, Droopy's one of my best friends. Joker from Boulevard and Escondido. All these dudes, man.
Wow, all those guys, huh?
Bro, these are good artists too. Where they don't do nothing less than like a $3,000 8-hour session for the day. I'm fortunate to be friends with these guys and they work with me.
And you network with all these guys through Sullen?
Yeah, but by proxy also, we all network together. Like also, you're helping me, I'm helping you. I'm bringing down boxes of shirts. We're putting your shop on. We're sponsoring your shop. We're getting photos of you as a great artist wearing our clothing. So this whole circle works. A tattoo here for me, a box of clothing, and some photos of you and our gear brings your followers to us. Social media is great, and it's bigger than a lot of people, especially Instagram. It's bigger than a lot of people give credit for. It really is a big ball of circling networking.
Yeah, marketing is beautiful and with social media, period.
Period.
Yeah, we didn't have that growing up.
No, we didn't. I think MySpace was out, but I didn't mess with it.
Yeah, me either.
I was too busy doing other stuff, yeah.
Right, that's crazy, man. So Sullen's it's a known brand.
Probably the biggest tattoo clothing brand in the world.
Yeah,
the tattoo clothing brand in the world, yeah.
So did Sullen start off with tattooing?
No, he started off getting great artwork from tattoo artists and putting it on t-shirts, making hats and t-shirts. Okay. Yeah. All out of Orange County, Huntington Beach, Garden Grove, that area.
So when did you start getting into the tattoo scene?
Well, I've been getting tattooed since I was a kid.
When was your first
15,
tattoo?
I think I got my graffiti name, my graffiti crew. And since then I've covered them up and, you know.
But and then you started getting tattoos on your face.
Okay, so I just spoke about this. My face came later. Like I did my whole body once over. I've also removed a lot of tattoos that had to go. I've replaced them. I've touched up a lot of my prison stuff. Now my homeboy Droopy at SoCal, he's been working on fixing all my prison shit to make it street quality and change stuff that, you know, necessarily some of the thoughts and things we have when we're in prison, my mindset is different. For example, I had a big 666 right here. It was something I was embarrassed of. And I did it at a time in my life where I wanted to push you away from me. And since now I want to bring you closer to me, I covered it with a flower. And we were able to cover so I'm altering a lot of these things that necessarily, I'm in a different place now. What my smile now, cry later could be two happy smilings now, as an example. Like I'm trying to change things to a different angle.
Yeah, man. Because that first glance at you.
I know.
You know. You were to have your hat off and what?
Yeah, I know.
People are gonna think like, hey, this guy's something not to play with. You know, he looks like a.
But once you get to know me, everyone's like, oh man, this guy ain't shit.
Yeah, but once you get to know you, you're a cool individual, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I spent a lot of time reading and getting better, and like I tell people also, we started in our day, we started tattoos under the shirts.
Right.
Maybe every now and then you see a neck one, maybe. All of this came when I ran out of room and I've fixed these ones. I've got nothing left, and now I'm like, me and Uncle Jeremy and Hoon go to these conventions, and we're in the mirror in our underwear, all three of us in a hotel room, looking with flashlights on our bodies. Where do I got room? Where do I got room? Where can I get a little?
Wow.
Yeah, I shoved the El Franco switchblade in between some leopard print on my head last convention. I'm like, I'm searching for these spots to do stuff now.
That's crazy, man.
Yep.
How hard is it to remove a tattoo?
It sucks, bro. I did the laser a few times. It hurts. There's no nice way to do it.
No.
It burns extremely bad. The numbing cream, the shots, Novocaine, none of it works really. It's a bad experience. Yeah, but I had some stuff that had to go, and it was worth all of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what events are coming up for selling clothing?
We have Lancaster Tattoo Convention in March. We have, I think, Villain Arts in Philadelphia in January. And I believe we might have one in Ontario. When is June in Ontario. Yeah.
What are your long-term goals, man?
Well, I'm going to be moving into a new position. I'm moving into sales.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've established a good image and a good background in this industry. So I'd like to be the one that comes to you, and because I can honestly tell you I stand by the brand. Not only do I like it, I wear it. I send it to all my friends. If you're in my life and you got a birthday or a quinceañera, you're getting a Sullen gift. So like, I'm going to be the guy that convinces a lot more tattoo shops and stores to carry our brand. That's kind of what I want to do. It's a better future. I can only model for so long, you know. So
it's crazy because I've checked your stuff out. You're everywhere. You type in Sullen, man, it's all you.
Yeah. And Hoon, me and Hoon.
You and Hoon.
Yeah, me and Hoon. Yeah.
You guys are just the face of Sullen.
But believe it or not, we got a great team over there. We got a great group of guys and girls and photographers and videographers. We have a really good team. He knows we got a really good team of people over there. Yeah.
How often do you get approached by people?
A lot. We'd be driving somewhere, someone will say something. I just moved out to Thousand Oaks with my girlfriend, and we'd be in the gym in Simi Valley, and someone the other day walked up and like, oh shit, Mohawk, what's up? Can I get a picture?
Yeah. What about through DMs? They get it?
Yeah,
DMs
and I try to respond to all of them as long as they're appropriate. As long as you're not coming at me with some weird stuff, I will. I'm not one of those guys that doesn't read them. I'll read them and I'll answer. Because I do a lot of networking and recovery and helping people. And even if you're so nice as to like my photo and be like, damn dog, I really like what you said, I respond to you. I think it's important to I don't want to say fan because I don't feel like I'm important enough to have a fan. But followers, I have people that follow me and we network. If you're going to go out of your way to want to say something, I feel like you deserve, as long as it's not weird, because I get some weird shit sometimes. As long as it's not weird, I'll give you the respect back. If you take the time, I'll take the time back. You know?
Weird shit like what?
Oh, bro, I did some TikToks with a partner of mine that's in a different lifestyle than me, and let's just say I got some responses from a different lifestyle that were very uncomfortable.
Right.
Some people have no problem sending you some stupid pictures that you're just like, wow.
Right.
You know?
I use my imagination for
yes,
that
please, but at the same time, please don't. Please don't.
Yeah. Has anybody ever reached out to you regarding them going through drug addiction?
Yeah, I get that a lot. Especially after I started doing podcasts, I get that a lot. And I will spend time to talk. That is something that hits close to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel, man, when they reach out to you?
Makes me feel good. And also, one of the good things, like I said, I don't have the ability, because of how far I live now and my time schedule, to get to many NA or AA meetings during the week. Like I used to go to one every day for probably the first 3 years of my sobriety. I've slowed down, and necessarily when you're networking with others, you don't necessarily, it's almost the same as being at a meeting. So if I'm gonna spend 30 minutes with you on some DMs talking, I just had an AA meeting.
Right.
It doesn't have to be in a room with people staring at a book. You can also get that same experience by just talking to another alcoholic or another addict. And I get that a lot, and I get to have most of my recovery by helping people and talking to people. And I have no problem doing it.
What message do you have for the people that are going through the struggle struggles that you've went through with drug addiction and battling drug addiction? Do you have a positive message you can give them?
I can say that you can get out of it. There's no real long-term goal to drugs. I think we've all discovered that with what we're watching going on in the world today with fentanyl, with the homeless problem, with the craziness in the streets. There's no real long-term plan with drugs. I don't care how it is now, because I'm one of those guys that started with being able to tweak out and paint the house and do all the fun stuff, and then eventually that evolves. So don't think that because you're in a good spot now, it's going to stay that way. I just want you to know there's no long-term plan or goal in it, but there is a way out if you're at the end of it. If you're at the end where if you're even considering, is this a problem? It's probably a problem. If you even think it might be a problem, it's a problem. If you've got to that point, and there's many options for help. I know a few of them myself. I can always refer someone and get them in a place. And there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of light at the end of that tunnel because we can get back. We do recover. We say this in the valley where I'm from. We got a group of guys that SFV recovers. There's a lot of us grown-ups who've been involved in every aspect from gangbanging to graffiti to major organized crime to motorcycle groups to prison gang affiliations like a lot of us were. Military. We have a group of guys that we say we do recover. There's a lot of us, you'd be surprised, we're hopeless cases, but none of us are hopeless. You can do it if you follow the steps.
Well, Matt, it was great talking to you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for pulling up. We had a great conversation.
Me too, brother. It was great. Great.
Wish you the best on your future endeavors.
Yeah.
And all up to you, brother.
Thank you, brother. To all you guys, too. It was amazing. I'm really grateful for this. Thank you for the opportunity.
You got it, brother. Until next time.
Till next time.